Check this out. It is the Cold Steel American Lawman. I ordered this one because I'm on a bit of a cold steel binge at the moment. They're available in Australia now. I've had a few designs I've had my eye on for a while. I've now got 3 of those designs. I was after a Voyager in a Tanto, I was after a Code 4, and I was after this one because, as far as I could tell, and this is slowly being confirmed the more I play with it and use it, this could be Cold Steel and just the general knife world's answer to perhaps the Paramilitary 2 as being a knife that really is for anyone. For anyone who's happy to carry a, not quite tiny pocket knife. Very similar elements in play as the Paramilitary 2, just even down to the materials, down to the philosophy behind it. Perhaps I'll fetch my Paramilitary 2 and we'll do some discussion and comparison. There we are. And it is true, the Paramilitary 2 is definitely a knife that most other knives can be judged against, because definitely a market leader, talked about all the time by everyone. Everyone loves it, and for good reason. It's a highly usable big knife that doesn't carry or feel like a big knife in terms of weight. It has good quality materials. It's rather expensive in Australia, but it's definitely a grail knife for most people. These two knives, things in common. They've got larger handles, so the blade to handle ratio on these knives, which is often a measure of good design in knives, it's out a fair bit. Like, this is a 3-inch cutting edge, 3.5-inch blade. This is a 3.5-inch cutting edge with I think a 3.75-inch total blade is protruding from the handle. So the blade's a little bit longer on the Paramilitary 2, like the actual cutting portion of the blade. Although perhaps just the curve spends a bit of the length from the Lawman. Anyway, so you get that, and then you get a nice big handle that you can fit your whole hand around, plenty protruding at the back, purely usable knife. And as with both of them, you can choke forward and do some more fine detail work. A flaw that I often notice straight away with knives is this, and the Rat 2 had it and the Code 4 has it. There's a lot of space between where your index finger ends and the knife blade begins. And this is still fine, like it's not a big deal, but it's definitely affects control when you're doing your up close cuts, and when you're doing your push cuts on sort of stuff that's hard. Like say you're cutting that hard cardboard, I think you want your hands as close to the blade as possible for that leverage. Holding it back here, the knife ends up steering backwards and then ends up pushing too hard, and you can lever it backwards or lever it too far. Having your knife right up instead of the core strength area of your hand. It's a bit like how when you're lifting something heavy you hold it towards your stomach and your chest. I think when you're cutting something you want your hands right up here, and on the Code 4 and many other knives there's no real dedicated spot to protect your finger from the blade when doing this. The Lawman and the Paramilitary 2 both have a nice forward finger choil. The Lawman will cost you in Australia about $170. This is the CTS XHP version, made in Taiwan. Previously was an AUS 8 version. This version has the diamond-like coating, black coating, rather than the Tough X paint that Cold Steel used to use. This obviously is just a satin finish blade, so not high polish, just a naked steel blade. Put that away for now. My impression of this knife is really strong already. It had an instant impression on me. The Code 4 did not have that impression on me. I still like this knife and I will review this knife, but this one I instantly liked. I felt a bit like I felt when I took the Paramilitary 2 out of its packaging that first time. Just instantly feels usable, comfortable in the hand in both grips, feels quality. The G10, I'm glad they've gone easy on their G10. It's slightly, instead of 1 as being completely smooth and 5 as being that super rough Recon 1 Recon 1 G10 that grabs onto your pockets and shreds them up, this is about a 3 and this is about a 2. So this is quite light G10, just feels a bit fabricy. This is a little bit rougher, a little bit more sort of canvassy, or this feels like cotton. This kind of feels like heavier duty canvas to touch. But yeah, again, still doesn't really affect pocket insertion as much in terms of the handle material. What does affect pocket insertion is these Cold Steel pocket clips. They need to make these better. There's just not enough scoop there, and what they've done is they sort of start to almost curve it back over itself again. If you see that there. Really not a fan of this, and it's the one element of the knife that definitely loses out to the Paramilitary 2, but everything else very, very competitive with that knife. In fact, several areas are instantly better than that knife. The price point for one, $240 in Australia for a Paramilitary 2 basic edition. You'll pay more for the other varieties of it, camo handles, black blade. $170 for this. You're getting same handle material, you're getting a better blade steel, you're getting a probably more versatile handle perhaps. That nice forward choil could definitely press this knife into more of a stabbing or a fighting purpose, but of course I never advocate for any of that nonsense. You're getting a stronger lock in the cold steel triad lock. And all you're losing out on is a pocket clip that's a little bit less usable, and important to me, you're losing out on a little bit of gadget factor. The knife simply isn't as fun to play with as the Paramilitary 2, which I think matters a lot. It's I think pocket knives are, they're, for all us people, they're like our fidget toys. It's our pocket jewelry that we like to sort of look at and admire and take out and play with. So you do lose out a little bit of that with the cold steel. For a lockback though, it is a very smooth opener. There's definitely a better washer system in this than in this cold steel Code 4. The Code 4 is a little bit jumpier to open, and the slickness of the handle makes it, I'm getting better, but the slickness of the handle makes it a bit trickier to open as well on the Code 4, because your hand sort of moves around a little bit and slides up, your back, your thumb, the ball of your hand slides up the handle a bit. This is an eminently more usable knife. Instantly, you have to get used to it less. You know how to use this as soon as you take it out of its box. Very, very cool. So that's just my initial thoughts. The Hollow Grind has proven to be a good slicer so far in these couple of days I've had it. Of course, a full review. Expect the Code 4 to have a full review coming out soon as well, and both will be compared to the Paramilitary 2. I had an instant recommendation of which one of these to get if you're in Australia and you wanted to spend some money on a good larger knife for hard use, I'd probably suggest if you're not a collector and you're just going to buy one knife and that'll be it, and you're watching this video because I'm thinking of buying a knife, what's a good big knife to get? I don't know if these people actually exist. I find it really hard to not recommend this over this, simply because it's the price difference. There's extra $70 to $80 for this knife for poorer materials, and unless you're someone who's going to be who really relishes your knife, I still like this one more so far, of course, but in terms of just value and instant usability, there's no real reason not to get this one over this one. It's just purely when you start looking at things like likability and gadget factor that the Paramilitary 2 starts to reclaim ground with me. So there you go. It's a tricky one. Anyway, yeah, as I said, 4 reviews coming soon. That's just a bit of a reveal and a bit of a initial impression video. So thanks very much for watching, dudes. I'll see you in the next one.